Phumzile Van Damme becoming the latest black leader to quit the Democratic Alliance. The outspoken member of parliament announcing her resignation from the party and from the National Assembly yesterday in a message posted on Twitter. Citing the influence of a clique of individuals within the party, Van Damme said race had nothing to do with her decision. Now, last year, you'll remember tensions between her and DA leader John Steenhuisen exploded when she claimed she'd been forced to take a sabbatical. She says she has no plans to join another political party and is leaving on her own terms. Let's get you some insight now from political commentator Tessa Dooms, who is also a director at Jasora Consulting, who joins us via our video link. Tessa, a very good morning to you. Another day, another black leader resigns from the DA.
Yeah, good morning, Michelle. I think the DA really needs to be more conscious about what's happening in the party and when leaders resign. And not only the fact that Phumzile Van Damme is a black leader, she's a young leader. She's a leader that's amassed a lot of experience in the organization. And it seems that just as leaders emerge and start to come into their own in the organization, that somehow the higher ups in the organization, whoever they may be, find ways to either push people to the side. And we've seen this with people like Phumzile Ntuli, who seemed to be a rising star in the DA, and then all of a sudden we found her really outside of the mainstream of the party. And then, of course, we've seen many DA leaders who have exited just as they're starting to come into their own in the top leadership.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned Phumzile Ntuli. There is, of course, Lindiwe Mazibuko. There have been people sort of in more recent history having resigned and having spoken out quite strongly about the DA's own reckoning with race inside the party. John Moody springs to mind as someone who was quite outspoken when he left the DA. Musi Maimane also outspoken about the racial tensions that exist within the DA, and those fault lines appear to be widening, Tessa, without the DA really coming forward to address it head on.
Absolutely. You've not heard the DA leadership actually addressing any of these exits in a meaningful way. I think Phumzile Van Damme has been very kind towards the organization by bringing up race and really trying to downplay it. But as much as something may not be overtly about race, so it may not be, that her race has been raised or she felt that she was being ostracized on the basis of race. It does come down to what seems to be a racial battle within the DA, of kind of the old white party versus the young black emerging party. And the power struggle seems to be won by the old white party. When here we're not only talking about the faces in the DA at the top that we can see, like the John Steenhuisens and the Helen Zillers, but also the funders of the DA and the kind of the old traditional support base of the DA. And we've seen on Twitter how Phumzile Van Damme, if you look at the history of her engagements, even with DA members, you would see this tension between white support base of the DA always coming for her and saying she needs to toe the line better, that she could be a really good leader, but she's too controversial. And generally, those are older white people who support the DA and want the DA as they've known it and are resisting change within the DA.
There is also the sense, and I'm thinking of the comments that both Musi Maimane and John Moody, again, I'm going to mention them because they spoke out so vocally about the racial tensions within the party. And one of the things both of them cited was their own inability to get past the comments made by Helen Ziller in tweets around colonialism and around apartheid, and how the party itself dealt with those comments, dealt with Ziller with regard to those comments. It's in stark contrast to how the DA deals with any controversy surrounding its black leaders.
Absolutely. You see kind of an iron fist that comes down on black leaders for a range of things. Phumzile Ntuli is actually a great example of this comparison between her and Helen Ziller. Helen Ziller, who tweeted things that were racist, and Phumzile Ntuli that liked a comment that the DA leadership didn't like, and there was an entire disciplinary process. And so you just see that they do deal with different members completely differently. The same policies don't apply, the same privileges don't apply, and you don't see the organization really coming out in strong support of its young black leaders. And until you have that imbalance corrected, until you feel like the young black leaders within the party, who in many ways are not just there as faces. If you think about the Mahashula Ganas of the party, these are people known to have strong constituencies, who have worked the party, who've worked the ground, who've built up their reputation within the party and its constituents, yet you just do not see them able to rise to prominence and supported by the party in the way that you see a Helen Zille or John Steenhuisen supported and defended till the hilt.
I mean, how much of this harks back to the very foundations of the Democratic Alliance and how its own policies around race are formulated? And the one central theme here is how the party has reckoned with racial redress in the country and what form that would take.
Yeah, if we think about the origin story of the DA, it comes from the Democratic Party, and that's why Tony Leon remains such an important figure in understanding the DA today. Because we have this very much white liberal party, and also, I mean, the ways in which it is liberal and remains liberal is debatable. But you have this white liberal party that really was fighting for white constituencies, while it said that it wanted to be part of a free and democratic South Africa. And we still see that today. It's not overt. It's not something that the DA would claim. But ultimately, the DA's support base and the way in which it speaks about the world still sounds like a middle-class white South African experience. And so whether or not they're being overt about race and tackling it within the party structures, their persona, their brand identity, the way the party comes across. If the DA was a person, it would not be a black South African who is, every day fighting and trying to make their lives better. It would be a white middle class South African who's just saying, I want things to remain as they are. I want to remain comfortable, and I want black people to adjust to me rather than for me to adjust to the South Africa that majority of South Africans experience, which is embodied by the black South African experience.
Wow. I mean, Tessa, we don't know what went on behind the scenes before this resignation letter was tendered by Phumzile Van Damme, but certainly the response from the party, in the wake of her tweet, now making it public that she was leaving the party and leaving a position as an MP as well. The spokesperson of the DA saying, we extend our best wishes, we wish her well. It's the same sort of, basically there's not much said in the official response from the DA. And what a massive loss someone like Phumzile Van Damme is to the party, given the amount of work, the incredible work she did in her leadership position in the party and in Parliament as well.
Yeah, I mean, the veil that the DA operates under in terms of its behind the scenes is slowly being lifted from time to time. And I think that the party needs to be more honest. We talk a lot when we talk about the ANC needing to take the country and its constituents into its confidence. I think the DA needs to do the same. I think there's a lot of PR, but very little real talking to what the party is trying to accomplish and how the party is going about dealing with these very obvious fault lines and honestly a very public implosion that it is having, that is seeing this mass exodus of not only leaders that they have brought through and trained, but leaders that have started to gain a real popularity in society and have been seen as credible leaders like Phumzile Van Damme. You do not get a young leader that has that much experience and then just let them go without there being a real reflection on the party and what it is they're doing wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, it is a local government election year. One just wonders, this whitewashing, excuse the pun, but this whitewashing of the racial dynamics within the Democratic Alliance, whether it's going to cost the party in the polls if they do indeed go ahead in October.
Yeah, I think we're already starting to see that in the by-election results. We're starting to see the DA support starting to wane. We're starting to see communities that traditionally supported the DA looking for alternatives. We saw it in the Eldorado Park case with the Patriotic Alliance. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens in Midvaal now that one of their star young black leaders has resigned from, or has chosen not to contest in Midvaal after such great success in that area. And so I think it's going to be a very big watershed moment, this local government elections. We've always said that the DA's got the issue that even while the ANC has its own battles and the ANC is probably at the height of crisis, the DA somehow finds a way to also plunge itself into crisis and put itself on the back foot in an election year.
Tessa Dooms, it's always a great pleasure talking to you. Thanks so much for that analysis of what's unfolding in the official opposition, the Democratic Alliance. Phumzile Van Damme becoming the latest black leader to quit the DA. And of course, plenty of reaction there. You'd have seen some of those tweets we've been bringing you, reaction to that shock resignation of Phumzile Van Damme.